Chapter 9, Opening Day. "Play ball!" shouted the umpire. Pee Wee Reese at the edge of the dugout waved his arm, and the Dodgers sprinted to their positions. Reese at shortstop, Spider Jorgensen at third, Eddie Stanky at second. Joe Hatton was pitching with Bruce Edwards behind the plate. The outfield from left to right was patrolled by Gene Hermansky, Pete Reiser, and Dixie Walker. And of course, Jackie trotted out to first base. It had happened. A black man had entered the white man's game. When Jackie stepped across the first base line, the color barrier crashed to the ground, and I had the best seat in the house. "Hum that P, baby," somebody shouted to Joe Hatton. Hatton, a left-hander, retired the Braves easily in the first. When Jackie trotted off the field, I told him that Rachel had arrived with Jackie Jr. He seemed relieved. Aunt told me to kneel in the on-deck circle and retrieve the bat after any of the Dodgers hit the ball. He would chase foul balls behind the plate, and suddenly the umpire with fresh baseballs were needed. Eddie Stanky walked up to the plate to lead off for the Dodgers. Some of the guys on the team called him Brat. On the mound for Boston was Johnny Sane, a right-hander who'd won 20 games in the last season. I knew the name. Sane and Warren Spahn were the only decent pitchers Boston had, which led to a famous baseball rhyme. Spahn and Sane, they pray for rain. "Rip it, Brat," somebody called from the stands. As Stinky worked the count to 2 balls and a strike, a loud cheer went up from the stands. I turned around and saw Jackie coming out to the on-deck circle. The black fans, and there were a lot of them, were yelling their heads off. "What's he throwing, Stosh?" Jackie asked me as he loosened up, swinging 3 bats. "Curveballs," I replied. "All curves." Stinky flied out to right field. It was Jackie's turn to bat, his first in the majors. A roar went up in the stands as Jackie tossed away 2 of the bats and walked slowly toward the plate. Every black person in Ebbets Field was standing, and most of the whites were too. The players in both dugouts moved to the other edge of the bench. I didn't hear any racist comments, but that didn't mean there were any. There were a few scattered boos, but for the most part, the Brooklyn fans were on Jackie's side. His skin color didn't seem to matter. The color of his uniform did. There was no electronic scoreboard instructing people to get loud or let's hear some noise. It wasn't necessary. I put my fingers in my ear to shut out some of the noise. Sane waited for the sound to die down a little before he looked in for the sign. $10 says Sane makes him eat dirt, I heard somebody in the Dodger dugout say. 20, somebody else countered. Jackie dug his back foot into the outside line of the batter's box. He took a deep breath and held both arms extended far away from his body. He gripped the handle of the bat high at eye level and pumped the bat back and forth as Sane wound up. Jackie quickly took his left hand off his bat and wiped it on his pants legs and gripped the bat again. It was a curveball, just off the outside corner. Sane, it appeared, was no headhunter. He was going to pitch to Jackie just like he'd pitch to anyone else. Jackie and Sane battled until Sane put a fastball over the inside part of the plate. Jackie took a swing. He smacked a grounder to short. Jackie broke from the batter's box like a bullet. The shortstop scooped the ball up and hurried his throw to first base. Jackie stepped on the bag at about the same time as the ball hit the first baseman's mitt. "You're out," the umpire yelled, jerking his thumb up. He looked safe to me, but Dodger manager Barney Shotton didn't complain. Jackie tossed a ball at the ump, but he didn't argue the call. Jackie made an out, but the black fans roared with approval anyway. It didn't matter to them that Jackie didn't get a hit. What mattered most was that he was given the opportunity to get a hit. Pete Reiser drew a walk, but Dixie Walker flied out to end the inning. No score. After the first inning, the crowd settled down. The color barrier had been broken. The earth didn't spin off its axis. The world as we knew it didn't cease to exist. It was like any other baseball game. The Dodgers scored a run in the 3rd inning on a ground ball out. Boston tied it up in the 5th, then scored twice more in the 6th. Jackie wasn't Superman. He flied to left in the 3rd and bounced into a rally-killing double play in the 5th. In the 7th inning, Stanky led off with a walk. Jackie dropped down a perfect bunt to advance the runner, and the throw to first hit him on the shoulders. As the ball bounded into right field, both runners advanced. The letter E on the big Schaefer beer sign lit up to indicate an error had been made. Pete Reiser followed with a double off Johnny Sane that landed just inside the right field foul line. Stanky and Jackie both scored. As Jackie crossed the plate, I put my hand up for a high five. He put his hand down for me to shake it. We missed hands. He must have thought I was a real idiot. Reiser would also eventually come home, and the Dodgers ended up winning the game by the score of 5-3. When the final out was made, the lady in center field clanged her cowbell and shouted, "Eat your hearts out, ya bums." Barney Shotton gave each of the Dodgers a pat on the back as they filed into the clubhouse. They tore off their uniforms and threw them into a pile in the middle of the floor. Most of the players hung around for a while, going over the game, but Jackie showered and dressed quickly. None of the players congratulated him for making history. "I have to go out a special exit," Jackie whispered to me. "They're afraid the crowds might get out of control if they see me. Can you find your way back to the hotel?" I told him I could, and he slipped me a nickel for the subway. It had been a long day, and I was tired. I was also anxious to go out on the street and see if I could get some baseball cards for my dad. "Not so fast, black boy," Aunt said when he saw me, heading for the door. "The game ain't over for us yet. For bat boys, I learned, most of the work comes after the 9th inning." There were uniforms to bag up for the laundry. The dugout had to be mopped clean of tobacco juice. The clubhouse had to be swept and mopped. Equipment had to be cleaned and put away. Aunt had me do most of the dirty work while he sat there with his feet up on a table. He seemed to enjoy watching me. "I'm sure you know how to shine shoes," Aunt smirked, just when I thought my work was done. "I'll take half and you take half." He had lined up 30 pairs of cleats on the floor, 1 pair for each players, plus all the coaches. My right hand was killing me from signing all those fake autographs. My left hand was killing me from catching Jackie's warm-up throws. And now I would have to shine shoes? I wished I was back in Louisville, soaking in the bathtub. "You're lucky," Aunt informed me. "The polish won't even show up on your skin." I started polishing, doing my best to ignore Aunt's remark. By the time I finished shining the 5th pair, I was dragging, but Aunt was already on a 6th pair, so I worked a little faster. Neither of us said out loud that we were racing, but I think we both knew we were. Aunt kept looking over at me to see how many pairs I had finished. I did the same to him. He seemed surprised that I was able to keep up with him. It was uncomfortable, the two of us alone in the clubhouse together. I guess Aunt felt it too. I don't think he had ever spent so much time with a black person. At first he didn't say anything to me, but after a while he pulled the Amazing Stories magazine out of his back pocket. "You hear about this?" he said, showing me an article. "Last month something fell out of the sky in Roswell, New Mexico. They think it might be aliens or something." "I heard about it," I replied. "I'll believe it when I see it." "Oh, I believe it right now," Aunt said, looking at me straight in the eye. "Aliens are here, no doubt about it." By the 10th pair of shoes I was wiped out, but Aunt saw me catching up to him, so he cranked it up a little faster. He was still 1 pair ahead of me by the time I got to the 15th pair. I decided I would never wear leather shoes again for the rest of my life. I'd nearly caught up, and we were both working on the last pair at the same time. "Done," Aunt said triumphantly just a few seconds before I finished the last shoe. We both wiped our faces with towels. "Here, kid," he said, pulling $3 bills from his pocket, handing them to me. "Your pay." "Thanks, Batman." I didn't know that Bat Boys got paid. I accepted money gratefully. I could use it to buy more baseball cards for my dad. Aunt and I had come to an understanding, I felt. He didn't like me very much, and I didn't like him very much, but we both had a job to do, so we did it. "Be here tomorrow at 10 o'clock sharp," he said as we left the clubhouse. He locked the door behind us and walked out the exit without saying goodbye.